Remember when Saturday mornings meant cereal pajamas and pure cartoon chaos? The 90s gave us a golden age of wild, unforgettable animation, heroes, monsters, and mutants all battling for your attention before lunchtime. Some shows became legends, others vanished almost overnight. But the ones we lost? They were bold, loud, and beautifully strange. Let's rewind to the 1990s and rediscover 19 Saturday morning cartoons that disappeared without a trace. Number 19. Widget the World Watcher, 1990 to 1992. He was small, purple, and determined to save the planet one polluted lake at a time. Widget the World Watcher arrived at the dawn of the environmental boom, right when schools were teaching recycling like it was a superhero origin story. Widget, a space traveler with shape-shifting powers, came to Earth to protect it from greedy industrialists, poachers, and all the bad guys ruining nature. The show hit differently. It wasn't just adventure, it was homework wrapped in color and humor. Widget teamed up with human friends Kevin and Brian, blending alien fun with eco-lessons that made kids think twice about throwing trash in the wrong bin. It even tackled oil spills, deforestation, and ozone damage, heavy topics for Saturday morning TV. Despite the good intentions, Widget struggled to compete with louder, flashier action cartoons. The messages were noble, but when kids had dinosaurs, heroes, and mutant turtles on other channels, environmental lectures didn't stand a chance. Still, for a brief window, Widget made caring about the planet cool. Today, clips of the show live online, reminding fans of a simpler time when saving the world started with one little alien and a lot of heart. Number 18. Toxic Crusaders, 1991. What happens when you turn a grim cult movie into a cartoon about recycling mutants? You get Toxic Crusaders, one of the strangest environmental comedies of the 90s. It followed Toxie, a janitor-turned-green hero, with a mop for justice, leading his mutant pals, Junkyard Major Disaster and Headbanger, against alien polluters, led by Dr. Killimov. The show didn't preach, it splattered. Every episode mixed slapstick with gooey humor, turning slime into a superpower. Bright colors, bizarre villains, and constant chaos made it feel like a Saturday morning acid trip, minus anything bad. Kids loved it, but networks didn't. Parents weren't sure what to make of a gross-out cartoon that wanted to save the planet. It lasted just 13 episodes, but spawned toys, a comic, and a video game. Today, it's a neon green cult classic, remembered for being weird, wild, and way ahead of its time. Mutants teaching kids about recycling? Only in the 90s. Number 17. James Bond Jr., 1991 to 1992. He had the name The Gadgets and the theme song. James Bond Jr. followed the teenage nephew of the world's greatest spy as he juggled school life and global missions. At Warfield Academy, he and his friends IQ and Gordo took on villains from S.C.O.W., a cartoon echo of Bond's rogues gallery. The show was pure adventure, car chases, exotic islands, and exploding pens. Despite being aimed at kids, it had flair. The animation was slick, the humor self-aware, and the theme song Bond James Bond Jr. was unforgettable. Still, it never found its audience. Adults rolled their eyes at a baby Bond, and kids wanted something wilder like Power Rangers. After one season, it faded quietly, but its influence stuck. Without Bond Jr., we might never have gotten Kim Possible or Totally Spies. A stylish failure, but a memorable one. Number 16. The Addams Family, animated 1992 to 1993. Snap twice and you're back in the mansion. The Addams Family returned in animated form, reimagining Gomez, Morticia, Wednesday, and Uncle Fester in a colorful, family-friendly world. It leaned into chaos. Gomez was wild, Morticia graceful, and Fester a walking disaster. The animation captured the original show's charm while adding Saturday morning energy. John Aston returned as Gomez, giving it real heart. Each episode saw the Addamses face uptight neighbors and greedy developers trying to fix their delightfully dark home. But the timing was rough. With Beetlejuice and Count Ducula already ruling spooky comedy, the Addams Family got buried under competition. It ran 2 short seasons before fading into syndication. Still, it remains a gem, sweetly creepy, charmingly weird, and a weekly reminder that being strange is perfectly fine. Number 15. Fievel's American Tales, 1992. Before talking toys and bugs took over animation, one brave little mouse captured hearts. Fievel's American Tales continued the story from An American Tale and Fievel Goes West, following the wide-eyed mouse and his family through new adventures in the Old West. Each episode blended humor and life lessons, courage, friendship, and perseverance, while keeping the gentle optimism of the films. The animation was warm, the storytelling heartfelt, and the tone unmistakably wholesome. But as the 90s turned louder and flashier, gentle stories lost steam. Superheroes and mutants ruled TV, and Fievel's small-scale charm couldn't compete. It ended after 1 season quietly slipping into memory. Still, its message endured. Bravery comes in all sizes. Watching clips today feels like rediscovering a childhood friend, sincere, kind, and still carrying that tiny spark of hope. Number 14. The Adventures of T-Rex, 1992 to 1993. 5 dinosaur brothers running a nightclub by day and fighting crime by night. The Adventures of T-Rex was one of the 90s' strangest and most ambitious cartoons. Bernie, Bruno, Bubba Buck, and Bugsy lived in Rep City, a mob-run metropolis of talking dinosaurs. By day they performed on stage. By night they transformed into masked heroes taking down the city's criminal underworld. The animation had a unique noir-style dark streets, neon lights, and jazzy tunes that gave it real atmosphere. It was part Batman, part Looney Tunes, and somehow still musical comedy. But audiences didn't quite know what to make of it. Critics couldn't tell if it was satire or sincerity, and kids preferred their dinosaurs roaring, not tap dancing. After 1 season, the brothers vanished from the airwaves. Still, its creative mix of crime-fighting music and prehistoric absurdity has made it a cult favorite. Weird, stylish, and totally sincere. The Adventures of T-Rex remains a fossilized treasure from an era when cartoons truly had no rules. Number 13. Wild West C.O.W. Boys of Moo Mesa, 1992 to 1993. Ever seen cowboys that were actually cows? Moo Mesa pulled it off with ridiculous charm. The show followed Marshall Moo Montana Dakota Dude and the Colorado Kid, 3 bovine lawmen keeping justice in a dusty, cow-populated frontier town. Created by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles artist Ryan Brown, it mixed cowboy action with cartoon slapstick and endless cow puns. From saloon showdowns to runaway stagecoaches, it was pure Saturday morning fun, with a country rock theme song that kids still hum decades later. Despite its creativity, it couldn't lasso the same success as its turtle cousins. 2 seasons later, ratings dipped, and Moo Mesa trotted off into TV history. But its charm stuck around bright animation, catchy humor, and a world so bizarre it somehow worked. It's still remembered fondly today as proof that the 90s were fearless enough to make an entire show out of cow pun justice and make it fun. Number 12. The Mighty Ducks, the Animated Series, 1996 to 1997. Forget Pee-wee hockey, this Mighty Ducks series was full-on sci-fi. The Ducks were humanoid alien warriors from another planet using hockey both as disguise and combat. Led by Wildwing, they fought the villainous Lord Dragonus from a secret base beneath a rink in Anaheim. The show looked incredible, fast, flashy, and cinematic with action sequences that felt bigger than television. It combined the energy of Star Wars with the teamwork spirit of the original Mighty Ducks movies. Kids expecting slapshots got space battles instead. Still, it didn't last. Maybe it was too weird for mainstream audiences, or maybe alien ducks with hockey sticks were just a bit too specific. But it stood out for its confidence, stylish, bold, and unapologetically over the top. Even now, the Mighty Ducks remains one of Disney's coolest experiments. For a short moment, hockey met heroism, and the result was pure 90s magic. Number 11. Project G.e.e.K.e.R, 1996 to 1997. Project G.e.e.K.e.R was Chaos in Motion, a wild sci-fi comedy that arrived years before audiences were ready for it. Created by Doug Tennippel, it followed G.e.e.K.e.R, a malfunctioning bio-android meant to be a perfect super soldier, but who instead became a goofy, childlike hero. Alongside Lady Macbeth, a no-nonsense mercenary, and Noah, her dinosaur sidekick, G.e.e.K.e.R, bumbled through a dystopian future while accidentally saving the world. Its humor was smart-fast and often surreal, part Looney Tunes, part cyberpunk fever dream. Critics praised its imagination, but kids were baffled by the weirdness. It ran for just one season before vanishing, yet it earned cult status for its sheer originality. Watching it today feels like finding a lost comic book, bright, messy, and bursting with ideas. Project G.e.e.K.e.R didn't fit in, but that's exactly why it's still remembered. Number 10. Skeleton Warriors, 1994 to 1995. Dark epic and way ahead of its time, Skeleton Warriors brought gothic fantasy to Saturday mornings. It followed Prince Lightstar and his siblings Talon and Grimskull as they battled Baron Dark, a villain who could turn people into living skeletons. The art style was stunning metallic armor, glowing crystals, and castles that looked straight out of a rock album cover. The tone was deadly serious, with narration thunder and drama instead of jokes. Kids loved the look but found the story heavy. Without strong toy sales to support it, the show crumbled after one season. Still, fans remember it as one of the boldest and most atmospheric 90s cartoons ever made. Its legacy endures as proof that even Saturday morning TV could aim for epic storytelling, and sometimes the darkest shows shine the brightest. Number 9. The Bots Master, 1993 to 1994. Part rebellion, part tech fever dream. The Bots Master was 90s chaos done right. Ziv ZZ Zoolander, a teenage inventor, created robots called 3A bots to help humanity. But when the RM Corporation twisted his creations into machines of control, ZZ and his bots became freedom fighters. It had all the decade's trademarks: skateboards, lasers, catchphrases, and neon explosions. Each robot had a distinct personality: Jammerhead the Bruiser, Blitzy, the Wisecracker, and Denerd the Brain. And yes, kids were told to wear 3D glasses during pop-out scenes. The gimmick was wild, even if it gave half the audience a headache. Despite flashy visuals and heart, the show was too ambitious for its time. High production costs and its mix of humor and rebellion confused networks. After one season, it vanished, leaving behind fans still quoting "Let's Jam." Today, it stands as a quirky cult gem. A cyberpunk adventure that dreamed big, glowed bright, and jammed hard. Number 8. Exosquad, 1993 to 1994. Serious smart and years ahead of its peers, Exosquad turned Saturday mornings into a battlefield. Set in a future where humans and engineered Neo-Sapiens fought for control of the solar system, it delivered political drama and intense mech combat that rivaled adult sci-fi. The exofleet led by J.T. Marsh wasn't made of superheroes. They were soldiers dealing with war loss and loyalty. Each episode built on the last, creating one of the first serialized cartoons with a real story arc. It tackled themes like rebellion and prejudice while still thrilling kids with powered armor suits and dogfights. But networks wanted lighthearted fun, not interplanetary warfare. Exosquad's complexity became its downfall. It ended abruptly, leaving unresolved storylines but also a legacy. Today, it's remembered as a bold experiment that proved cartoons could be emotional, intelligent, and unforgettable. Number 7. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, 1992 to 1993. Football players, time travel, Camelot. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice sounded like a fever dream, and it totally worked. When the real knights were imprisoned by the sorceress, Morgana Merlin summoned quarterback Arthur King and his team to take their place. Armed with magic armor and futuristic gear, the players became knights, battling dragons, monsters, and dark magic. It mixed sports fantasy and heroism into a show that looked and sounded epic. Every episode featured huge battles, glowing swords, and rock-infused background music that screamed 90s power. It ran for 2 seasons before ending on a cliffhanger, but it became a cult favorite for fans of pure, unapologetic imagination. It's the kind of show only the 90s could make bold, strange, and utterly confident in its own wild ideas. Number 6. Double Dragon, 1993 to 1994. Based on the arcade classic Double Dragon, followed twin brothers Billy and Jimmy Lee as martial arts heroes destined to wield mystical dragon powers. Their mission? To defend the world from the sinister Shadow Master and his army. Every episode was an action overload, glowing swords, explosions, and dramatic transformations. But beneath the spectacle was a story about brotherhood and redemption. Billy was noble, Jimmy impulsive, and their rivalry gave the show real heart. Still, it struggled to stand out among flashier rivals. With the market overflowing with heroes, Double Dragon's serious tone felt out of sync. After 2 seasons, it quietly disappeared. Yet fans still remember its energy, its theme song, and that unshakable mix of martial arts and mysticism. A short-lived fighter, but one that punched way above its weight. Number 5. Mummies Alive, 1997. Ancient Egypt meets modern San Francisco, Mummies Alive had one of the wildest setups in cartoon history. 4 resurrected guardians, Jakal-Wrath, Armin, and Nefertina, rose from their tombs to protect Presley Carnarvon, a teenager carrying the soul of an ancient pharaoh. Their enemy was Scarab, a power-hungry sorcerer seeking eternal youth. Every episode mixed myth humor and high-energy battles with stunning animation and toy-ready transformations. Presley was no chosen warrior, just a regular kid caught in the chaos, making the show surprisingly relatable. The blend of action, emotion, and humor gave it real personality. Sadly, 1 season was all it got. Maybe the G.e.e.K.e.R premise was too odd, or maybe audiences just missed it. But those who watched never forgot it. Mummies Alive remains a stylish, fast-paced gem that dared to turn history into heroism and somehow made it work. Number 4. Street Sharks, 1994 to 1997. If the 90s had an energy drink in cartoon form, it would have been Street Sharks. 4 brothers turned into half-man, half-shark heroes thanks to a mad scientist's experiment gone wrong. Then they hit the streets to protect the city with more attitude than logic. Each shark had a personality and a power move. Ripster was the tough leader, Jab was the sarcastic brawler, Streaks was the speedy daredevil, and Big Slamu was the powerhouse. Together they fought colorful villains with names as wild as their hairstyles and delivered catchphrases like "Jawsome" with total conviction. It was loud, ridiculous, and perfect. The animation looked like a muscle magazine come to life, bulging designs, exaggerated movement, and action scenes that felt like a rock concert. The toy line was massive too, with chomping figures every kid wanted. Still, its success was short-lived. Critics dismissed it as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles imitation, and as the market flooded with mutant hero shows, Street Sharks sank beneath the surface. But nostalgia has been kind to it. Those few years burned bright, and fans still look back at the over-the-top chaos with a grin. In the end, Street Sharks wasn't just a cartoon, it was a time capsule of an era that loved everything extreme. Number 3, The Pirates of Dark Water, 1991 to 1993. A prince, a cursed sea, and a planet drowning in black magic. The Pirates of Dark Water was unlike anything else on Saturday mornings. It told the epic tale of Prince Ren, who sailed across the world of Myr to recover 13 mystical treasures and stop an evil force known as Dark Water from consuming the oceans. Every episode played like a chapter of an unfolding fantasy novel. Ren's crew, Tula, the warrior Ios, the ex-pirate, and Niddler the comic sidekick faced monsters, storms, and rival pirate lords. The animation was breathtaking, full of swirling seas, ancient ruins, and shadowy villains that gave it a cinematic feel. But here's what made it special. It took kids seriously. There were no cheap laughs or filler episodes. The story had depth, emotion, and real consequences. Unfortunately, that ambition was also its downfall. The show was expensive to make and too serialized for network scheduling. It ended before Ren's quest could finish, leaving one of the greatest what-ifs in cartoon history. Even unfinished, The Pirates of Dark Water remains legendary, a rare attempt at high fantasy that proved cartoons could be mythic, mysterious, and mature all at once. Number 2, Biker Mice from Mars, 1993 to 1996. 3 mice from Mars, on motorcycles, fighting an evil fish-headed businessman in Chicago. That's Biker. Mice from Mars, a sentence so absurd it somehow defined a decade. Throttle Modo and Vinny were rebels from Mars fighting the Plutarchians who destroyed their home planet. On Earth, they found a new mission, saving humanity from greedy corporations while rocking out on high-speed bikes. Every episode was turbocharged with explosions, wisecracks, and guitar riffs that made you feel like you were watching a rock concert with handlebars. What set it apart was the attitude. The show wasn't trying to be deep, it was pure fun. The animation was slick, the characters oozed cool, and the catchphrases, "Let's rock and ride," became playground legends. There were action figures, video games, and even a brief revival years later. But the original run captured something special, a perfect balance of rebellion and humor. It faded as trends shifted, but fans never forgot the bikes, the banter, or the vibe. Rewatching Biker Mice from Mars now feels like revving an old engine. It's loud, ridiculous, and still wildly entertaining. Proof that sometimes the coolest ideas don't need to make sense, they just need to ride. Number 1. SWAT Cats, The Radical Squadron, 1993 to 1995. 2 fired fighter pilots turn vigilante mechanics build a secret jet under a junkyard and save their city from chaos. That's SWAT Cats, The Radical Squadron, and for many fans, it's the crown jewel of forgotten 90s animation. Chance T-Bone, Furlong, and Jake Razor. Clausen were ex-law enforcers framed and disgraced. Instead of giving up, they reinvented themselves as masked heroes piloting the TurboCat, a supersonic jet packed with custom weapons to defend Megacat City from monsters, mutants, and mad scientists. The show was pure adrenaline. Explosions, aerial combat, and witty one-liners filled every episode. It was darker and more cinematic than most Saturday morning fare, with top-tier animation that could rival even the big studios. Kids loved it, adults respected it, and for a moment it looked unstoppable. But behind the scenes, budget cuts and shifting network priorities clipped its wings. The second season ended on a cliffhanger, leaving fans craving more. Even today, SWAT Cats stands tall as a symbol of everything the 90s did right, original, bold, and unapologetically cool. A fan revival movement still exists, and every time someone hums that roaring theme song, it's clear, legends don't fade, they just fly higher. The 90s were a wild playground of imagination, robots with attitude, dinosaurs with rhythm, and heroes who fought evil between commercials. Some of these shows vanished too soon, buried under the next big trend, but they left fingerprints all over pop culture. Which one do you remember watching in your pajamas, bowl of cereal in hand? Drop it in the comments below, hit subscribe, and keep your nostalgia engines running, because Saturday mornings never really ended.